Meaning the pro license again.
Okay.
The pro license is so much fucking better. You can actually do video calls in 4K. It's fucking great. God.
They bought it for all of us, along with all of the Microsoft stuff.
It's fucking
except for
ridiculous.
Project. They got us everything except Project.
It's fucking ridiculous. It's like, what the hell? This is
So
what
much
rich people
better.
use it.
Okay.
I'm on a
And
Zoom
then
meeting.
rich people spend
Let's go over to YouTube and see if this thing is up and running. Because if it's not, I'm going to fucking brain my shit.
You can use this. It's sharp enough.
Yeah, either
Don't get it
or.
on the computer.
It won't. It'll just gush out onto him. Okay. Oh my god, this almost made me have a fucking heart attack. Oh my god, this almost made me So it's catching my audio. Yeah, it's catching my audio.
But video, I'm guessing not.
Yeah, but I'm trying to
That looks more like a YouTube thing because it shows
figure
the
that
background.
out. I don't think OBS is capturing the screen. Is that's what it is?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's your background for YouTube. So I don't think YouTube is showing your video.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix it through here. Is what I'm saying.
Oh shit! Yeah, because it's all going through Hangouts.
Yeah, it's going through. It's going through OBS.
Yeah.
This is what it's going through. Actually, I think if I X this out, it should save changes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that should be working now because that was in my settings. So time to hop over to YouTube. Put the volume down so I don't hear my rape voice again. Okay, so it's not. It is caught up. The thing I just said came on. See? Okay, yeah, that should be working now. That was in my settings. So,
I thought that was on the actual app.
Fucking stupid. Dude, OBS is on the computer.
I know, but I thought that was on the app. Because it's your YouTube
You
account.
have to tell it what screen you're on, right?
No. I don't know how to work this.
Start streaming, start virtual camera.
Okay. Okay, not that.
So I'm going to just keep the stream open on my end.
Butt cheeks.
So I can see what's going on here. I hate hearing my own voice on camera. Makes me miserable.
So then why do you feel miserable? It's not on camera.
You're not even wrong.
I know I'm not. Oh, here, feel it. Bastard file. Yeah, I got bored while Jules was crawling around through a 3-foot high crawl space. So I stay upstairs. I'm just.
Now maybe start streaming?
That's what I said.
Channel or stream key? Okay.
Nope, that's recording. Don't want that.
Okay. Yep, that worked.
You did?
That worked. That worked. That worked. How do I get out?
Bottom left.
Good question. I hit F11. Find F11.
Nope.
Do you need the light again?
No, I hit F11. It's just not working that way. I don't want to hit exit. This is going to be the greatest opening to a stream ever, I
Press
feel.
the Windows
Control
button.
tab.
Press the Windows button. Press the Windows button. There you go.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Marco. Okay. Awesome. We're going to go here.
Oh, there we go. I was about to be like, you are still on the other thing.
Okay. And this bitch is live. You want your switch back?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Motherfucking bird seed.
This is a fucking struggle.
I warned you, OBS is not fun.
It seems simple enough.
I'm glad that I even got the bitch up
This
and
time,
running.
Apparently, my computer has 2 servers that are meant to link to 2 different screens. So when I first did it, I had to go in as an administrator and you go in and find which board it was coming from to program it to go to that one.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it
So now I
like
have 2 versions of OBS on my computer.
a couple of minutes.
Maintenance leave.
I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes so I can situate that and just bounce in between. I gotta open the script on here just so I have it ready, which I should have already done, but I'm not a smart person. Alrighty, so that's posted out. Hate that I have to post all this shit.
It's gonna bother me.
Okay. Alrighty.
Your porn tab is open, bro.
Well, that's her computer, so that's her
Porn
porn
tab
tab.
is open, sis. I love how she laughed at that too. Like, did I close it?
Alrighty. And this shit is officially live. And I have to send Anthony a link because he finally checked in. Hi from when you get here, Anthony. Okay. So, welcome to where this was initially supposed to be uploaded to, the remedial classroom. Today with me, I have me in the darkness, Alexis is going to be on my original channel. And to my left, if you can see her, this is my girlfriend, Alyssa.
Oh.
And to my right off camera, I have my uncle / Beastis friends, Marco. Yes, he's multiple people. He's fat. And on the computer with me, I have Brittany, one of my friends from college when I attended that poorly.
Oh, whoa.
All righty. So, as all of you guys know, I am doing a script read on one serial killer named Sir Edmund Kemper. Edmund Kemper is very interesting because he is one of the most introspective serial killers out there, point blank, period. I know I'm jumping into this really fast, but I'm very impatient. More or less, I chose Edmund Kemper as a starter because I figured, why not go bold if you can't? He kind of is just a very violent motherfucker, and without further ado, let me get into the script. So Edmund Kemper was a serial killer who killed 8 women from the years of 1972 to 1973. He was very active. He pretty much was just killing these women out of sheer rage against his mother. Now, the most terrifying thing about Edmund Kemper, besides being a serial killer, is the fact that he stood at a massive 6'9". And another scary thing about this motherfucker, which is a completely factual insult, is actually the size of his IQ. He actually had an IQ of 145, which is insanely high for most people. The average, I believe, was about 120, if I remember correctly. I'm probably wrong about that, and someone will correct me on it. Watching interviews with Edmund Kemper, it's actually kind of scary because watching interviews where he's talking, you can actually see all of his intelligence shining through because he's actually looking at what he did wrong and accepting what he did wrong and analyzing himself as that person in the moment, how he should have been at a person, and then what he thinks of the two people at the moment, which is a very weird headspace to see people take, considering most serial killers either glorify their actions completely or completely lack introspection. And it's very an odd demeanor because when he talks, he's very calm, collected, as if he knows what he's going to say, unlike most serial killers who kind of just blurt out on the emotions of what they're saying. So it's one of the other reasons I chose him. Edmund Kemper III was born on December 18th, 1948, in Burbank, California, to parents Clarnell Stage and Edmund Kemper Jr. He's the third, so I don't know why I said that after saying he was. I'm an idiot. They were unhappily married and would divorce when Kemper was 9 years old in 1957. His father worked on nuclear testing and would later say that suicide missions in wartime and the atomic bomb testings were nothing compared to living with her. Yeah, my mans would rather go through fucking nukes than actually deal with his wife. It forced Kemper to live with his mother in Montana. The divorce would take a huge toll on Clarnell and Ed down the line because she had just become a single mother supporting the main topic of today and his 2 sisters, one younger and one older. and this would cause her to turn to the bottle and take up some amateur alcoholism. Now, Clarnell couldn't cope with this loss and turned her anger towards little Ed Kemper and would belittle him and tell him things such as no woman would ever love him and things of that nature, very demeaning and emotionally manipulative. Allegedly, according to Kemper, she did all the verbal abuse because she was afraid of him becoming gay. Yeah.
Because
Gay is not the way. Now learn to hate women.
Yeah. No woman will ever love you. Don't be gay now.
Your options with women is 0. But you're
you
not
can't
allowed
have
to
men.
dick.
Yeah. You can't fuck dudes, but you can't fuck bitches either. You'll never get them.
No.
We wanted
gay.
them to be
Not you.
asexual. That's the
You'll
only acceptable
never
one.
be able to.
Funny thing you say that, because in an interview, he actually says that he likens his mother, that she viewed him as him being birthed from like an egg or something. Like he says that he wasn't hatched, that he was a human being, that she should have treated him with more decency. So it's like, it's one of the things where it's like you look at Edmund Kemper and you see how he tried to be a human being and failed. A human being. Now I'm
No,
thinking of the
human
Killer
egg.
Bean videos. You've never seen those? Oh, we gotta take like an hour and watch those. There's actually like a full movie and they're actually pretty fucking good. Not what I mean to talk about right now.
Back to the human egg.
Yeah, back to the human egg, or bumblebutt as he called himself. He called himself a bumblebutt.
Okay.
Bumble butt.
Oh, I mean, when you're 6'9" and 300 something pounds, it's
Also, he thick.
he's retardedly thick. But then he also looks like the same type of guy that'll go sniff loaves of bread to see if they're good enough.
Colonel. Colonel. I'm trying to sneak around the base, but I'm dummy thick.
Colonel, this yeast smells like it's supposed to go waste.
Back to your scripture.
Now I'd be incredibly stupid if I was to pretend and say like this wasn't going to impact someone on an incredibly fucked scale. He lost his father, moved to, and I say this with the most amount of love, bumfuck Montana, and is verbally abused by his mother post-divorce. Now, by no means am I saying all of these things will instantly create a killer, but there are enough eggs here to bake a cake if you catch my drift.
He's an egg.
He's a bean.
An egg bean.
Oh, that would make a really bad cake.
Yes. Edmund Kemper beans.
The bean.
Delicious Edward beans.
Edward Beans would be funnier, actually. Now, someone's childhood is a massive impact on how they process the world and shapes what type of adult they're going to be. Now, sadly for Kemper, what was mentioned would only be the catalyst into the darker side of human nature with all the verbal abuse and everything that he faced from his mom. This would primarily show when Edmund Kemper killed a family cat by burying it alive at the age of 9.
Oh.
Yes.
How did he
He
get it in the hole long enough to bury it alive?
Determination.
do you want to try to take this as a serious answer? Because I got a couple of hypotheses.
I would say determination.
I'm gonna say he dug the hole and threw the motherfucker in.
It would have had to been a deep hole to keep a cat in there.
Not if it's
Not
soft.
if you hit it hard enough.
Yeah, it's as long
If
as
you hit
it's
it too hard, then
alive.
it won't be alive.
If
Well,
you're
if you-
unconscious, you're still alive.
Yeah. Just because I'm sleeping don't mean I'm dead, even if I want to
It's
be.
just half dead.
It's death without commitment.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty
Death with
much.
benefits, if you will.
Death with benefits.
That's why you sleep so much when you have the big set.
Now, when he was asked about this, why do you think his reasoning was that he killed the cat?
Because I can't get no pussy anyway.
He was fucking 9. He was 9. He's not concerned about pussy at the age of 9, Marco.
I don't know that. Some people go through puberty early and get the feelings early.
The feelings.
Feelings. That sounded way worse than anything his mom
They
could have
get
said.
the feelings early.
Feelings.
No.
I got the feelings to feel brisk.
The reason why he did it is because the cat was showing his sisters more affection than him.
He really
Did he
just
try petting the cat instead of burying it?
He just doesn't like females at all at this point, huh?
No, actually, that's the strange thing. Apparently, he had a pretty good relationship with his sisters. So it's really odd. Like, looking at the story of Edmund Kemper, as we go along, you're going to see so many minute things that just make him the perfect killer, in my opinion. Now, my opinion on the scenario, which I'm obviously going to have 2 cents on the whole thing, is it comes off as someone desperately trying to find anything that shows affection to him, considering his mother clearly isn't showing any of that. So, I mean, you know, being able to hold and cuddle on a cat and something like that definitely gives you a replacement and a sense of security or something. You can cut me off at any time if I'm wrong, Brittany, because you would obviously know more than this about me. Don't be afraid to.
I kind of agree though. The only concern that comes to mind is that due to how much trauma he went through, it could kind of backfire with the whole seeking affection. Because he's so used to being rejected and that whole bullshit with you're not gonna get laid at all. I feel like that would backfire and it would just be constant flashbacks of what happened to him as a kid to fuck it up. And that's probably why, you know, he starts acting aggressive.
Yeah, and another thing about it is he actually started this at like a really early age. To start this at 9 years old, even for most serial killer standards, they usually don't start doing these things till about 2 or 3 years later. You see it in like early into being a teenager. So I find it very odd that he started this early and nobody really noticed the signs. I feel like his mother did to a degree, but she really couldn't put her finger on it entirely.
Either that or she didn't give a shit.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get there because there are interesting moments in this story that subvert every motherfucking expectation you could possibly have, ever. Alrighty. Now, I mentioned earlier that Kemper was a big boy at the age of 10. He was taller than everyone in his family. I skipped a comma. Now, this really doesn't mean much. I'm 5'7". I'm still 5'7". You can confirm this. I was taller than everyone in the family at that age.
I was always shorter than everyone. Wonder what it's like to be tall.
Tall is a relative sentence. You're taller than a bunch of 5th graders.
Well, what about the 10th grade boss at every 5 waves?
She'll be able to get them.
Also, are you sure? My sister was taller than me when she was in the 5th grade.
Well, that's your sister. She's tall.
Well,
She was one of the shortest in her class.
That's her sister's
5th
problem.
graders be big now.
See, that's why I say I'm a 5th grader who was fed too many fucking oats. My argument stands.
That's all that HGH, man.
This motherfucker was 6'2" at 10 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh.
Yeah, he was massive. Now, this drew a lot of attention to him, obviously, and that led into bullying, which only made things worse for the psyche of a young Edmund Kemper. Back at home, things would only get worse when he was actually forced to live in the basement by his mom out of fear for his sister's safety.
So he pulled a Binding of Isaac?
Actually, now that you mention it, I wouldn't be surprised if that's partially what the beginning of the game is based off of. I would not be surprised at all. The difference is that Isaac was forced into the basement for religious purposes. He was forced in the basement because his mom was afraid he was sexually assaulting his sisters at nighttime and lurking through the house. Yeah. Like I said, this story is going to subvert all of your expectations the entire time. That's cool.
It's a shiny.
Why is it dark?
It's evolving.
During an interview, Kemper would describe living in the basement as hell. And yeah, living in the basement as hell. You're distracting the shit out of me right now. He likened the two because of the heat and the darkness in the basement. Another reason is that he associated the house as religious realms. He believed the basement was hell because he was the only person down there who was cold, dark, or hot, depending on the season. And the second floor was purgatory because everybody had access to it for most of the day. And then the third floor where everyone slept was considered heaven because it was the furthest away from everything. And as a child, I completely understand likening the three. It's a very evident thing to see, especially seeing as during this time period, people were way more religious then. This was the mid-60s.
At a certain point, you have to feel worse for him than anything else.
I do feel very bad for him at the beginning of the story. So up until a very specific point,
death happens.
Yeah.
Until he kills people.
Yeah. Dahmer's the only one who I actually feel bad for other than the rest. Because Dahmer, to a degree, was more him going off of deeper, darker
really
urges.
Needed a lot of help.
He really did. That's what Dahmer's problem was, is he needed help and nobody gave it to him. He's another topic for another time. Gotta find where I am. Now, Kemper would then actually end up decapitating one of his sister's dolls. We call this foreshadowing in the business, kids. Out of spite because of her breaking his cap gun, one of his cap guns that was bought on a trip to New York. And if I'm gonna be honest with you,
Sounds valid.
yeah, I completely agree. I 1000% agree. If you break my shit, I'm gonna break your shit. So especially if you're my sibling, I 100% agree with it. He would also play games with his sister. Now, what kind of games do you guys think that he was playing?
Punishment games. Am I right?
You've already seen the script. Shut up.
I wasn't paying attention.
What kind of games do you think he played? Brittany, what kind of games do you think that Edmund Kemper played?
I'd rather not say. I have a feeling it's going in a way that I don't want it to go.
Okay. Well, the kind of games that I figured he was playing were like wrestling, like WWE, like I used to do with my younger sister, hopscotch, or even old ass games such as Jacks, if anybody who's watching this will know what that is other than probably me and Marco. Nah, homie, he wasn't playing basic bitch games like us fucking normies. He was playing games like Gas Chamber and Electric Chair. He would sit in a chair blindfolded and let his sister flip a fake switch, and Kemper would turn into an inflatable tube dude in Electric Chair's case. While in Gas Chamber's case, once again, switch would be flipped, and Kemper would turn into your local epileptic playing laser tag. Too dark?
That's nice, though. That's loving.
So, what do you guys think about the first section?
He's teaching. He had very good relationship with his sister. He teaches her cause and effect.
He really likes cats. That's why he wanted to entomb it forever.
Yes.
You know, that'll be
If I
confirmed in
can't
the
have
next
you,
section.
if I can't have you, no one can.
Yep.
Just in time for Valentine's Day.
So, is there anything you would like to add on the portrait painted of Edmund Kemper right now?
No, I'm just concerned about myself because I kind of played those games when I was a kid. I used to stage executions for my dog.
Gas chamber?
Wait. This is not a direction I expected this going in.
One day you're going to be making a podcast about her.
I had a fucked up childhood, okay?
Is she 6'9" as well?
Do you live in a basement?
I actually do live in the basement right
You're
now.
going to be making a video about her one day.
Don't kill anyone, please.
And
He's
if you
not
do,
going
at
to on
least hide the
purpose.
body
Legally,
enough that they
I
can't
say I
find you.
won't, legally.
For legal reasons, this is a
For
joke.
legal reasons, I will not kill anyone.
But for illegal reasons, you just
No
might.
promises.
Well, no promises means that she might not anyway.
Yeah. Man, yeah.
If
Okay.
you're gonna do it, at least hide the body well enough that they can't find it.
Oh, no, trust me. Trust me. I have plenty of people that I want to frame.
See? God knows how to get away with it.
She's
And
got
they don't
things.
know I want to frame them. That's the thing.
I'm going to keep on going before you get yourself arrested. I'm just going to keep on going because I don't see this ending well for anybody in this call.
No,
Again, for
You
legal
want to say what I
reasons, this is a joke.
for legal reasons, he has to be
This is a joke.
Now, we're going to talk about Kemper from when he was 13 up until his first homicides. I'm saying it like that because YouTube has a problem with anything relating to death and violence, even though I'm going to say it multiple times. I just want to get it out the way now.
Almost said that sounds.
It was meant to sound bad. It was purposely done that way. When Kemper was a teenager, 13 to be exact, he ended up killing another one of the family's cats.
I think they need to just stop getting cats.
He only killed 2. They can get a third.
That has to try and make sure he's not completely psycho.
Yeah, exactly. 1 is an accident. 2, what the fuck are you
Suspicious.
doing? 3rd one, no more cats. But he only killed 2, so they got to keep the 3rd. If they got a
I
3rd.
was saying, if they got a third,
Yeah.
I think most people would stop it too.
Now, instead of just being, kind of, I don't know how to describe this. Instead of being less insane than last time, this time he would go all surgeon simulator on the cat and dismember the parts and hide it from his mother in a closet.
So he'd be very flailing and throwing everything at everything with no care in the world.
Oh, fuck do you mean?
Surgeon
Yeah, surgeon
simulator.
simulator. Took me a second.
He just ripped apart cats right in the band.
Yeah, and the
Throws
thing
a
is,
chainsaw at it.
and what we need to take into consideration is this dude is 6'2" at this point, maybe even a little bit taller, and he's a big kid. At this point, he was already about 250 pounds. So I can very easily see him just ripping the cat apart. In all honesty, I can. Good kitty.
I guess this one had a bunny, but not anymore.
He would later go on to say that he was actually very proud about hiding it from his mother. She would eventually discover the marinated diced feline in the closet.
Marinated?
Yes, because it's been sitting there for a couple of days. It was hidden for days.
Oh, I pictured him like actively attempting to marinate it.
Like seasoning it with some
I
salt
was
and
like,
shit.
what is he marinating?
I mean, pemmican, or rather, pussycan.
He wanted to make beef jerky.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
the cat.
possibility. It's a very real possibility. And once she discovered it, she kind of just yelled at him for it. I really didn't find much afterwards in terms of repercussions for it.
cats.
The next thing that we're going to talk about is when Kemper was 14, he runs away to California to go and live with his dad. He said he liked it more in California because that's where he was from, that's where he was born, that's the environment he was in, and he had nothing in Montana, and I completely get that. I mean, I agree with why he ran away and what he's doing. Not the cat killing, not the quote unquote sexual assault, because that's never been proven either way. So I'm not gonna.
Cannot be confirmed nor denied.
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw accusations at a murderer. He would go and try to live with his father. Upon making it to his dad, he would discover that his dad had remarried and already started a new family altogether. And he would be too much for Kemper's father to take on, so he was sent to go live with his grandparents.
I mean, I think a cat killer would be pretty hard to take care of. A cat killer that may or may not sexually assault other children. When you have a family of people that must be younger.
So I'm gonna actually give you something that's not in the script as well. Apparently, he was caught watching his teacher when he was in about kindergarten with a knife. And when his sisters questioned him about it, he actually said that if he kissed her, he'd have to kill her. Like, that's what he said as a kid. And his sisters told this story, not Kemper reciting it. So I really don't. I believe that a lot more than when he says some of the shit he says. Like, I believe when he talks about the murders because he's so confident and the details that he gives are so specific that it's not something that you would make up. Now, it's funny because his stepmother also didn't want to deal with him. She said that Kemper would just give her migraines.
Yeah, I can see it.
At least that's the worst he gave you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's giving you a knife to the chest.
Well, we'll get
He
there.
could have decapitated you and stopped your migraines altogether, though.
He flies.
We call that foreshadowing in the business, kids.
He flies.
That's actually pretty dope. Well, his mother actually, because we said the thing about care, his mother believed that this was a step in the wrong direction because she actually said to the father, don't be surprised if he kills them or someone. So she saw it in him at this point in
That's
time.
terrifying.
And what does she think him being with her would change?
She was so domineering that I think at that age, it would have prolonged what happened, I feel.
Stopped it.
It wouldn't have stopped it, but it would have prolonged it by a decent enough
Might have
margin.
also made it worse. Might have been more angry.
My question is, why didn't she give Ed to the dad earlier? If he was such a fucking problem.
Yeah, wait.
That's something that I've never really thought about, in all honesty. But from the descriptions that were given about Clarnell, I hate her name. Her name's Clarnell.
Clarnell.
Her name's Clarnell. I'm not making this shit up.
Like the college or
No, Cornell is the college. Clarnell is her name.
So it sounds like someone mispronounced the name of the college.
Yes. Yes.
It sounds like an ointment.
It does.
When I hear the name Clarnell,
Ointment.
I immediately imagine a 6 foot, like 500-pound bitch. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but that's the first thing that I picture when I hear the name Clarnell.
You're not
Sounds
wrong.
like someone that's greasy.
Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right. Now the thing about his mom sending him away, the reason I can only give you speculation as to why I don't think she did. I think it's because she was such a domineering personality that she physically couldn't let go of him because she would be losing all control of him. When we get further on into the script, into his adulthood, you actually see elements of that coming up throughout. And from what she was described by other people is that she was a very verbally aggressive person, and she would actually start problems with other people, because what I described Clarnell as is what she actually was. She was a 6 foot, 300, 400 pound woman that was just big as hell. And she would actually like pick fights with guys too and argue and just destroy them and stuff like that.
She could be just that miserable that she decided to pick on her son since her husband wasn't around.
Bingo. That's exactly what I feel it was from the start with her.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. This is why I'm glad you're here.
You know, the minds think alike.
Now, everyone else but Clarnell felt that this was going to be a step in the right direction.
Since its feet fell asleep.
Wow. Now, everyone else thought that this was going to be a step in the right direction until Kemper would arrive and describe his grandmother to be just as domineering, if not more, than his mother.
Well, you gotta learn it from
At least
somewhere.
now you know where she gets it from.
It's the grandmother from the father's side.
Oh.
Yeah.
God damn.
Well, at least the dad was able to break the cycle of abuse potentially.
Mm-hmm. And then throw his son right into it.
Yeah, because he was gonna bring it with him.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm being honest with you, I think if he was to have lived with his dad, he would have had a different outlook on life, and Kemper feels this as well. I feel if he was with the dad, he would have had more acceptance, because the way he describes his father and the way that his dad would treat him, he would treat him like he was a kid. He wouldn't treat him as if he was supposed to be, almost as if he was supposed to be an adult. You and the egg.
I kind of disagree with that.
He's a hatchling.
I feel like with the amount of bullshit he went through with his mom, it would be ingrained in him. And I know, like, back then, therapy and psychology was not as big as a impact. So I think there still would have been a lot of trauma and a lot of those thoughts in his head. And I think it would just prolonged it to a point.
No, I agree with you. I feel it would have prolonged it, but I think it would have been more mitigated. I don't think he would have been as violent with the crimes he committed. I don't.
Gentle homicide.
Yeah, gentle homicide. Because from the way that he talks about being with his father and the way that he describes the way his grandfather treated him as well, because he says that those are the only two people in his life that treated him with respect. Those are the only people that Edmund Kemper has actually actively seen showing a human connection with. So I feel if he had developed that human connection earlier than he did, or had actually just built and maintained a human connection with either of them, I think he wouldn't have come out as fucked up as he is. I could have seen him being like a street surgeon or something like that, just butchering people on the side of the road and stuff like that for money. But I don't really... What? You've never heard the term street surgeon? Really? Yeah, if you have a 3 years...
picturing Surgeon Simulator, but in the back of a van.
Yeah, if you have 3 years completed in New Jersey medical school, you're a New Jersey street surgeon. It's a common joke. Like, if you have 3 years of medical school, you're good enough to be a surgeon in New Jersey.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. Now, this would actually be the huge snap in Kemper's psychological health. Kemper was feeling rejected by everyone around him. His mother clearly treated him as if he was a monster. His dad heard he started a new family, leaving the 14-year-old Kemper to feel unwanted, and then he was thrown to his grandparents immediately after that. Now, how far ahead did I skip? Because if I skipped some shit, I'm going to be very fucking angry. Okay, no, I didn't. Here's where I have to question Kemper's portrayal of his grandmother a bit. Apparently, according to Kemper himself, he was known for playing with his grandparents' guns. They would actually play around with something. It's a BB gun, so don't go crazy, anybody. With a 45 caliber pistol, which is most likely going to be an M1911, because that was the most common 45 at the time because of World War II and World War I. It's a 100-something-year-old pistol today. So he was known for playing around with his grandparents' guns and would question his grandmother if she took the gun with her. Now, that's fucking insane. He was also so manipulative that he actually thought about reporting the pistol stolen and saying that she was going to rob a store while she was out doing, errands and shit shopping. He would also hunt birds and gophers on his property with a .22 rifle that his grandfather bought him against his grandmother's behest. Now, that part I don't necessarily agree with, because depending on the environment you grow in, that's common practice. If you grow up in the South, that's a little more common to give a kid a .22 and let him go shoot some small game and stuff like that. So I don't see that as too far out of the ordinary as a lot of people would.
Yeah, but when you couple it with burying a cat alive,
I agree with you. I do agree with you, but I don't think they knew this. Because if
I would
everyone,
hope not. If you had someone that you know damn well buried a cat alive in a hole, any kind of gun, I'm concerned for why.
But the question is that did they know that? Did they know he buried a cat?
no, I don't find much coming about his grandparents at all. There's nothing about them because this is the mid 60s, so records and stuff like that weren't exactly kept the best. And on top of that, there's not that many people who are going to come out and say that, you know, that like
I
they're
buried a cat once.
yeah. So
I buried my cat alive in the backyard once.
you know that yeah.
I buried my cat alive as part of hide and seek. When I pulled him up, he was dead.
I would believe that's why he did it, actually. Like, he thought that if he left it underground and playing hide and go seek, it would make its way out.
He wasn't supposed to die. I put straws in the dirt.
I pet the other cat a little too hard.
So I have
It
a
fell apart,
question.
So I hid it in the closet.
Yes, shoot.
I have a question about this. So
That's
how
funny.
how did you find out about the cat? Did he say it in one of his interviews?
He said it in one of his interviews, I believe, because Edmund Kemper is actually the most well-documented serial killer because he did more interviews than almost any serial killer on the face of the earth. And on top of that, his sisters would actually come out and give some information as well. So some of the stuff is coming from him, some of the stuff is coming from people around him, and some of the stuff is coming from, you know, family members and things of that nature. So there's actually a lot of information about Edmund Kemper. That's why I'm actually able to go back to 9 years old and like birth and stuff like that. Anything else?
Oh no, I was just thinking because probably the mom did keep it to herself because this was back in the 60s, and I know back then it was all about image. So how are you gonna go around and be like, yeah, my son buried our cat once? You know?
I mean, I would hope even now that you wouldn't just go around on the street telling all your friends and neighbors, hey, you know, my son, he buried our cat alive in our backyard this weekend.
But you want to at least tell your friends and be like, I need to get help for him because he's obviously fucked up in
And
the
I got
head.
a good therapist. My kid buried the cat.
And, you know, I buried a cat when I was 9 years old. See? And the conversation keeps on rolling.
He really just went.
So, so she wouldn't let him have people over and filter what he watched on TV. Now, I do agree. Everything with what we know about Edmund Kemper, I think are all pretty valid things to do as an overbearing parent or helicopter parent, as what some people call them. Personally, to me, this comes off as more fear of her grandson than being domineering. He was a 6'4" big dude at the age of 15 who enjoyed playing with guns and harming small animals. It's a valid point of concern, in my opinion.
Yeah.
On
If you can
August.
kill a cat, you can kill a person. You probably don't want that many people coming over.
Now,
You
here's
probably don't want them watching violent TV either.
yeah. I mean, I turned out okay.
Well, back then, they did think violent TV and things like that would make you violent.
They also thought that weed would turn you gay and stuff like that. So that's a valid point. Very valid point. I swear to God, it's like Alex Jones just brought all the ideas for back in the day.
Basically.
Turn the frogs
Sells.
gay. On August 27th, 1964, things would take a very dark turn in Mark Kemper's first taste for murder.
Who's Mark?
I said Kemper. And Mark, as in
it'll Mark.
not a person.
I was like,
Oh, hi,
who
Mom.
the fuck is
Oh,
Mark?
hi, Ma.
Hey, Ma. I didn't hit her. I did not.
Oh, hi, Ma.
I was confused. I was like, who the fuck is Mark?
So, after an argument, Kemper would search for his rifle that his grandfather, after an argument with his grandmother, he would search for a rifle that his grandfather bought him, which at the time was taken away as a result of him shooting too many animals.
Zach Ellie, Mr. Mine.
Now, for me, this is a huge thing because it got to the point that they noticed he was killing too many small animals.
I mean, he is known for hiding them, so that he must have killed a lot of them for them to notice.
Exactly. That's my point. If you're killing enough small game for people to notice that you're killing too many of them, that's a lot. To me, it comes off as he was straight up just trying to exterminate them and experiment on them. That's what I feel like it is. So he would begin to make his way outside to go do the exact thing his grandmother told him not to fucking do, shoot animals. And he would then pull out a 180 YY and shoot her in the back of the head twice and in the back once.
This is why you don't give crazy people guns. And then turn your back on them.
I'm not going to say anything about this right now. So Kemper would then actually wrap her head in a towel and drag her whole body upstairs to the bedroom and stab her 3 times so brutally he would actually end up bending the knife. He said later on that I didn't think she was dead and I didn't want her to suffer anymore. However, this wouldn't be his only murder that day. You guys are probably wondering, where's his grandfather during all of this? Right?
He's already dead.
No, he was at the grocery store.
Damn it.
Yeah. Completely unaware that his wife had just been brutally fucking murdered. So when he showed up to the home and saw a young Ed Kemper sitting on the porch, and he didn't think anything of it. I mean, he just saw Kemper just chilling on the porch. What would you think weird about it? And he began to unpack the groceries. Kemper would use this to his advantage and walk behind the grandfather and shoot him in the back of the head as well. He would then drag the body to the garage and make a conscious effort to try and clean the blood off of the floor and his hands. Kemper would say that he actually killed his grandfather because he didn't want him to get mad about the murder of his wife of 50 years. In a panic, Kemper would go on to call the one person that he believed would help him. Anybody want to guess who he called? His daddy. What'd you say, Brittany?
Papa.
No. Father. No, he called his mom.
Oh, God.
She would tell Kemper to call the police and turn himself in. The police would arrive to a very calm Edmund Kemper sitting on the porch. He would then be arrested and sent to a psychiatric ward. So, any comments from anybody?
Mama said it's okay to kill. As long as you tell Lonnie.
Next question. Anybody got anything? We're good to go to the next section?
Yeah.
A lot of shit here.
Yeah.
Fuck me for writing this much. So Kemper in prison till 20. I'm getting lazy and just reading out the titles I have. So Kemper was sent to Atascadero State Hospital. I've practiced saying this like 55 times. I still can't say it. So whenever I say the institution or the hospital, this is the place I mean.
That definitely doesn't mean Pelican.
Huh?
That definitely don't mean Pelican.
No, it doesn't. Atascadero, I think it's pronounced. It's in California, so they have weird name shit out there. So he'd been sent to that state hospital for the brutal murders he had committed. The judge had specifically sent Kemper here because he didn't want Kemper to have an easy ride paying for his actions. This, however, would actually be the perfect piece to the puzzle that would make Edmund Kemper into the killer he became. Upon his arrival, he was sent through psychological evaluations, and this would discover that his IQ was 140. This is how we found this out. And he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Remember I told you I wasn't sure if that diagnosis was rescinded? It was. I got that confirmed when I was reading later on. His schizophrenia diagnosis was completely pulled back after the doctors had spent more time with him. And they gave him, it was, I forgot what disorder they pegged him with, but they pegged him with something else, and it was more
antisocial disorder.
Yeah, probably a personality disorder
it
of
was,
that kind.
Yeah, it was a personality. I don't remember which one, but they diagnosed some of the personality disorder.
It could be antisocial, but depending on how old he is. Because if he was younger, it would be conduct.
The thing about the antisocial thing is later on in the script that's completely untrue, because he was a very he was in a lot of things. He was associated with a lot of things. Like he would be a very social person, and people would say that they could have conversation with him, and that everyone around him thought he was a good person.
Yeah, but antisocial disorder is a low-level psychopath.
Yeah.
He's a high-level psychopath in all actuality.
Like you'll sit there and experiment on somebody over the course of a couple months just because you disregard them as a human.
Fair.
It doesn't mean antisocial, anti-people. It just means anti-society.
It means a lack of empathy.
Okay. So yeah, that's probably what it is then.
I don't care what you feel while you die.
Later on in a murder, he would actually get upset that he touched a woman's boob.
Aww.
Yes.
He's so
pure. That's why he's so fucking weird as a killer.
He's so pure.
That is why he's so weird.
Titties!
Well, he was traumatized by his mom saying you're never gonna laid. You know, you're never gonna fuck a woman, you're never gonna touch a woman. Of course he's gonna be like, no.
So
he
kills a woman and it's like, not like this, no dead boob. Like, the fuck, man? The fuck? I touched a titty.
But it was dead.
No, they were alive. That's why he felt bad.
Oh wow.
Exactly.
What?
Now you get my point. He was stabbing her, touched her boob, and felt bad about it.
I'm so sorry I touched your boob, madam. Now, if you wait another 30 seconds and bleed out, I will happily grab it.
See, you already know some of the scripts, so this isn't fair for you. It's good that you can make jokes early, but
So he straight up skipped he skipped being straight, gay, asexual, and went right to necrophilia.
all right, stop fucking reading the script. I got shit I got to get to before we get there. While Kemper was in whatever that word is, he would quickly discover that he was one of the youngest patients in the institute. He was more than half the age of the other inmates. The average age of all the inmates was around 35 years old. Surprisingly, nothing has come out about him being diddled while he was there.
That's a shit way to spend 16 candles.
I hate you for that. At the age of 18? It's 18. That's the name of the song by Ed Sheeran.
You said less than half, so 16 is less than half of 35.
Well, he was in there from 15 to 14 to 20, so yeah.
So it's a horrible way to spend 16 candles.
I hate you. This would force Kemper to mature quickly. And yes, I know I'm reading it like an idiot. Especially
prison time.
Huh?
As is always prison time.
Yeah. Especially since a majority of the inmates were in there for crimes just as violent, if not more than Kemper. To me personally, I feel that this only further confirmed his pre-established mentality of pain and pleasure, which a lot of serial killers have as to why they actually do the things that they do. This would only be amplified in conjunction with Kemper's high IQ when at 19, he actually began to work in the psychological testing labs within Asadero. Here, Kemper would actually gain full access to all the other inmates' records and evaluations. Another interesting caveat about that, he would actually help write the test that is given out to patients to determine how violent they are. Yeah.
Valid.
Yep.
He's an expert at it, you know.
Mhm.
Yep.
Hey, this guy ate 3 gerbils and shoved one up his bum. He's like a 6 out of 10 in terms of violence.
I mean, shoveling the gerbil out of the bum has to at least lower it to a 3. I don't think that's too violent.
This man buried
Richard Gere did it.
This man buried his dog alive. 15 out of 10, super violent.
But you buried a cat, sir. It's a cat. That's only a 3.
He killed her. Wouldn't touch her boob while it was warm. That's like a 9. He
That
cut the
hadn't
titty off and then
happened
grabbed
yet.
it.
That hadn't happened yet.
Then he cut the titty off and grabbed it. Oh, it's only down to a 3. He got
At
respect.
this point, he only shot his grandparents.
That's a solid 2. Granted, suck.
It's a 3. He shot her 3 times.
That's a 1.5.
But then
He
wouldn't
gave
it
him
make
what's
it a
coming.
5 because he shot his grandfather 2 more times?
Shot him once.
All right, a 4.
He shot him out of
Okay,
mercy.
this is also something I want to point out. Look how much damage he did to the grandmother and how little damage he did to the grandfather.
Like I said,
That's something that I really
he
always
took
find
the
weird.
granddad's
Not weird.
burden.
He hates women.
He took the granddad's burden. Who wants to live with his wife for 50 plus years?
I need a second. I
Then
need
he
a
also
second.
took his mamma's advice. He figured his old fart granddaddy won't go and get no tail, so he put him out of his misery. On God. Go on.
Red Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Another interesting thing, he would actually be on the board for this hospital as well. Mm-hmm.
That sounds
Yeah.
like a conflict of
A
interest.
member of the board.
He was actually the youngest member on the board, and they didn't want to give it to him because by the time they were giving him the position, he wasn't 18 yet. But he was 18 as soon as all the lawsuits were through, so he could actually just do it.
Sounds like a conflict of interest, but okay.
Oh yeah. He would. Yeah, I just said all of that. So working in this prison, he would gain a deep understanding as to how crazy people look on paper for all their testing. He would have full access to the archives of the institution, further twisting his mind, and would be able to read into all of the actions committed by others serving alongside him. Now, this is where I begin to feel like the universe had perfectly crafted a path for Kemper to kill 8 innocent women, including his own mother down the line. At the
He's
eight,
not really innocent.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, okay, I get it, she's a bad person. Just because you're a bad person doesn't mean you deserve to be fucking murked. Just saying.
Yeah, but it
Just
also
saying.
doesn't make her innocent. She's guilty of child abuse and neglect.
Neglect, yes.
That is something you can be put in jail for. So I wouldn't say she's innocent.
And that's something that the
Not in the
universe will handle
60s.
for you.
Yeah, still
No,
your job
70s.
doesn't make you
Let off
innocent.
with a tap on her hand.
Yeah, back then that was normal fare. We have to take this in consideration of what the time period is. You were a good father if you only beat your kid behind closed doors. I'm quoting Henry Zabrowski.
No, you're a
I
good
mean, even
father if
now,
only-
some people
if
get away
nobody
with it
knew
with
you.
abusing their kids.
It's the
By the
thing. It's like the thing about it is that in back then, it was the rarity to not be abused by your parents, especially around this time, and it was a rarity for parents not to have substance abuse problems as well, because this was still when certain drugs were still on the brink of being illegal, and still because we grew up in the war on drugs. That's the era that actually you more grew up than us, but it's an era that turned over to us. All of the drug regulation we have now was only really a thing in the mid 90s. No, I mean with Clinton.
2000s, motherfucker. You know how much E there was in the 90s?
Look, I'm just
Everybody
saying.
was loving everything. He said the mid-90s.
Because I thought it was during Clinton, so that's why I said that.
You walk down the street, you see somebody sucking on a smiley face.
Oh god. Oh god. At the age of 14, spending most of the years where the juices of the Thai loin get flowing, Kemper was instead spending that time with convicted felons who were in there for violent crimes and nothing but with men double his age. He also missed a good chunk of the 60s, which is when the U.S. was going through massive cultural changes and went from being the hippy-dippy lovey time to the 70s where every major serial killer was really coming out.
Oh, so he dodged AIDS.
Yeah, he dodged AIDS. He barely dodged AIDS, but he dodged it.
Not really dodging it. He couldn't get pussy anyway.
And he also didn't get raped in prison, so he dodged it there too. So he did dodge AIDS.
Didn't or couldn't.
I don't know. And I'm not going to answer that.
He gets no play. No way.
EA Sports. It's in the game. He also had a massive generational gap around those around him, so he had a hard time socializing when he got out. Then to add to the perfect killer cake, he was given what I would dare call a study guide to being a normal person. With his high IQ, he would learn very quickly that the only way staff would know what was going on inside of Kemper's head is if he told them. So if he didn't speak, they would never find out how fucked up he really was inside. Roughly a year later, Kemper would go on to be released from the institution, against their orders, mind you, back into the public. Now, where do you think Kemper went?
Back to his mom.
Yep. Even though the hospital said not to.
In Alabama.
What?
In Alabama.
No, they're in California.
I thought they were in Montana.
She moved back to California.
California love.
So I will say this, and you guys can all yell at me if you want. When Kemper was 21, he was actually trying to get his life back on track. And I can see how he was through various things. Looking from the outside in, he was doing things to try and fit in, such as attending community college and working odd jobs until he landed a job at the California Department of Public Works. A pretty reputable job, in my opinion. He was also supposed to visit his parole officer and another service that was there for the rehabilitation of younger individuals who were sentenced for adolescence until adulthood. But because the officers were so busy, they would push Kemper to the side and never check in with him, and he would actually be cleared from all of these services as well. So part of this story is a failure from the state as well. I want to keep that in mind right now and put a pin in that because that's not something that's really talked about ever with him. Now, when Kemper was home, he would have to deal with his mother still. When Kemper was released to his mother, Clarnell and him would have verbal warfare and argue so loudly that their arguments would be heard by all the neighbors. Their arguments would be over things such as trivial as if Kemper should get his teeth cleaned or not. It's fucking stupid. Yeah.
You tell me what to do, Mom. I don't want my teeth cleaned.
I'm a real boy!
I want them to rot and fall out like a pirate.
Arg. Now, she was an overbearing bitch. She would do things such as randomly show up to his apartment or call him at random hours of the day just to check in on him. And to me, all of this verbal abuse and everything she would do was because she actually had landed a new job at the University of California in Santa Cruz, where she was an administrator there. So she was seeing all of these other normal 20-year-olds, the same age that Kemper was at the time, all around her. And she would be so frustrated. This is all in my mind. And she would be so frustrated because Kemper was nothing like these normal teenagers. And her son was a double murderer of his own grandparents. So she would be rude as fuck to him and telling things like he would never get a woman. Once again, he would never be able to date any of the girls that are at her college and things of that nature. He'd never fit into society. So,
Well, to be fair, I don't know how many women would be, not off-put by the idea of dating a double murderer.
well, if you don't tell them, they don't know. It's not something that is commonly like once again, he put it the best himself. They don't know what's going on in your head if you don't talk about it. So if you never talk about the fact that you had a double homicide, these women would never know that there was a double homicide.
That's why there's so many baby daddies.
No comment. And yes, you're right about Clarnell, by the way. She had married like 4 times and had a new last name by the time she moved to Santa Cruz.
Hey,
And was divorced again.
you're not a felon unless she knows you're a felon.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's how you catch a cougar.
Kemper would try to transition into becoming a cop.
I think he took a wrong turn somewhere there.
This giant would attempt to specifically become an officer on a bike. No, not zing zing kind of bike, a vroom vroom
I don't know
bike.
why that's more terrifying.
I know.
It's a lot of man. That's a little bike. That's a lot of man. Just
I'm just picturing a very tiny bike.
It's like this. He's like that on the bike.
pull over.
The bike is like the size of a phone compared to the rest of him.
Yeah. Where am I?
He picks the bike up over
Okay.
curbs.
He just fucking throws the bike at his suspects.
Halt!
Stop! You violated the law!
It's a sidewalk.
Dude, do you know how deadly he'd be with a bike wheel, though? He's 6'8", 300 pounds. 6'9", 300 pounds. Can you imagine how deadly he'd be fucking Captain American hose with a bike wheel? I think he'd be cutting people in half.
Someone get this man a frisbee.
He'd be nasty. Nobody would stop him.
Throws it so hard it
Except the long
decapitates
arm of
people.
a-
You know, if I'm being real, he should have gone for football. They take any kind of felon.
Rugby.
Yeah.
Rugby.
Now,
He could have been the original Gronkowski.
yeah, he could have been.
Now that man can't run for shit.
Now, I first thought, he's kind of fresh out of prison. How can he ride a motorcycle? To find out he had already owned one and wrecked it. Fair. Then my second thought was, how do you go to become a cop with a double homicide on your record?
Why wasn't that your first thought and the motorcycle the second thought?
Because I scripted it that way on purpose. You know, this is all written. My first thought was the homicide of being a cop.
It is
thing.
written, so it must be said.
No, I put it in that order to subvert expectations. There's a method to most of my madness. But it doesn't matter when your record's expunged.
God bless
Double
him.
homicide didn't exist on his record at all. Well, the record was sealed so he could move on with his life after being rehabilitated. And to answer the second question, He didn't become a cop. Why do you think he didn't become a cop? Any
Because
takers?
he's a murderer.
No, that was expunged. They don't know that. Brittany, you got to guess why he didn't become a cop? I love this game.
I might know it. Was it because he was too tall?
Yes, you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
They have a height limit.
Yes,
We
there's
don't
a-
have pants long enough for your legs.
Sorry. You're too tall for this career.
Remember, this is the 60s and 70s, so they didn't have shorts yet.
What the fuck? Dude, their shorts were fucking booty
No,
thongs
no.
back then.
For gay men, they were.
For straight men, too.
Those were cut off jeans.
Motherfucker, did you see David Hasselhoff back in the day? Motherfucking dude, what's his name?
Swimsuits don't
Sean Connery wore a fucking thong for a whole movie. Fuck out of here with that
Was
shit.
it James Bond?
No,
What did you
he
watch?
wasn't.
Yo, what are you watching? Porn?
No, it was a real movie. He was a
What
bandit.
movie?
I don't remember the name of it, but I can explain to you what happens in it. More or less, it was a
Sean
sci-fi
Connery.
movie.
I'm here to give you a mustache, right?
Yeah. It was a sci-fi movie, and he was stuck on this weird alien planet. And for some reason, those were the clothes that he had to wear the whole movie, and he wore fucking cowboy boots
that
and a
wasn't
thong.
that wasn't anything crazy. That was space gear.
And he still wore a fucking thong
That
for
was
the movie.
space gear.
He still wore a thong for the fucking
Okay,
movie.
you're not gonna wear a thong in space?
No!
I would.
I'm not going
It's
to space.
gear.
You're a
It's
dork
fashion.
for trying to go to space. There's fucking nothing up there. What are you going to do? Oh, that's a nice rock. It's all the same shit.
Exactly. There's nothing up there, so wear the fucking thong.
Fuck you.
You hate that that's accurate. If a bitch could wear lingerie underneath her business clothes to feel sexy, I'll go up to space where there's nothing to wear a thong.
What do you think the minimum height cutoff was for the... See? It's real. It's real. I'm not fucking crazy. She found it.
What?
I'm not crazy. It's fucking real. It's real.
I'm
Hold up.
digging it.
No,
I'm
no, no.
into it.
Oh fuck! I know the
told
movie.
you. Hold on. Nah, put it back onto the camera. I need to show this for anybody who watches this later on. I need you to put that shit back up there so they know I'm not fucking crazy.
Witness Sawdust.
I know.
Captain of Space.
See?
Fucking Zardoz.
I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Y'all wanted to look at me like I was a fucking weirdo.
The braided mustache combo.
Fucking Zardoz, man.
Homeboy
Fucking
needs a
Zardoz.
haircut.
Why did I forget that? That's a deep, dark part of my memory. You want to see this? You want to see the title screen?
No, I've seen it already. I've seen most of it. Because that thing's supposed to be like a Wizard of Oz type character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that I was like fucking Zardoz.
So, what do you think the height requirement was that Edmund broke? No.
Yo,
How
dick
much-
too big.
That's why I
Your
wouldn't get
legs
on
are
the
too
force.
long.
So, no. What I'm asking is how much taller than the requirement do you think he was?
Cool.
Brittany, your guess?
4
4 feet?
For
Inches?
what?
4 inches.
4 inches. Nope, he was too tall by an inch.
Oh, that's
I
bullshit.
fucking knew it was something like that.
He was the cutoff was 6'8". He was 6'9". Before anybody asks, and that's in comments or in person, yes, that's actually still a thing. The height requirements. You can't be too tall to be a cop.
Why?
What is
What are they afraid of? That you're gonna run too fast and you're gonna catch every criminal?
You can't fit into the car.
This is what Jan saw
Just
when I
sit
told
like this.
This,
trucks.
no.
You could be on a fucking motorcycle.
Hold on.
Wait,
Hold
he's
on.
on a motorcycle.
Hold
Right.
on. Give me a second. Because if you go to be a chip, you have to pass the police stuff in order to do that, and you have to do seat time as a regular cop. Now, the reason why you can't be too tall is because the seats can't go back because of the cage that's there. So you physically would not be able to fit into the car. Same thing applies with trucks, and they weren't issuing trucks back then. Everybody had a Crown Vic for the most part.
You remember when Jan said he sees goat see? I thought he's not that colorblind.
Dude, to my knowledge, he was red.
That's
blue
what he
green.
sees. That's what he saw.
Dude, I'm in the middle of something.
I know, but Jan told me to tell you that.
Okay.
Why doesn't he just fold his body like a pretzel? You know, grab like this.
He's doing some crazy ass shit.
That motherfucker's 350 pounds. He ain't folding like that.
I mean,
He
there's
can
some,
fold. Like
hey, there's
that.
some fat bitches who can manage it.
He was in prison.
He can fold. He had plenty of time to stretch in prison.
He wasn't even in a real prison. He was in a state hospital. He had no access to a gym.
You need a
Even
gym to stretch.
better.
You just need bones. You just Touch
You
your
just need
toes.
bones.
When you're shaped like a fucking dinosaur, bending over is a little bit harder.
Bones? You need bones.
Yes, if you don't have
Bones.
If you don't have
Nothing
bones,
else. You
you
just need
can't.
bones. I'm pretty sure there's some very flexible cripples out there. And they have bones.
Yeah, I know this bitch that can lick her stumps. Why y'all laughing at me like I'm crazy?
That nest tastes like peanut butter. How's this one taste like? It tastes like my CNI dog.
So, this, however, would not stop Kemper from trying to associate himself with the police life. He would spend his downtime at a cop bar called the Jury Room, and here Kemper would spend his time befriending off-duty cops to the exact point where they would actually give him handcuffs, a junior detective badge, and occasionally loan him guns.
It's fucking doofy. Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit, from Scary Movie, it's Doofy. Fuck. Holy fuck, he literally is Doofy. He's Doofy.
Got the honor.
Absolutely, sir.
Who shit my pants? I don't know if he actually said that, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Fuck. Oh my god, that aggravates me. You put that into my mind now. Huh. So Kemper's full transition into the co-ed killer would begin when he got into an accident on his second bike, resulting in time off work for an injured arm and a settlement from the court systems. I don't remember where he got it from. I believe it was a civil suit, but I didn't care enough to
Good
do the
for him. It's
research
very
into
rare
it.
that a biker actually wins a civil suit.
Yeah. He would use the money from the settlement to buy a new car, one that he would deck out to mimic a police car with radios and antenna.
He's the reason why I can't put red and blue lights on my car.
Now, I'm going to get to the first two murders, one section, and then I'm going to wrap it up because this started way later than I intended it to, and I don't want to keep everybody here all night. Before we go into that next section, does anybody have anything they want to add in and chime into?
Bing bong.
I can't say what I want to say.
What do you...
What do
Just
wanna
because you say that, now we're going to ask.
Yeah, now we gotta know. You can't
No,
keep
no,
it from us
it's,
now.
it's nothing bad. It's just, God, why is everyone so fucking dumb?
Yeah. Well,
Because it's the 60s
He's
and
a
70s. They're all on
precedence.
drugs.
so... Yeah.
That's why they're all drugged out.
They're all on LSD.
Oh, God.
So, I have a question. How reliable do you think the Myers-Briggs personality test is?
Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
I honestly don't think it's that reliable.
Okay.
It's more as, I see it's more as a party trick.
It
You
can
know?
change depending on what setting you're in. If you take it at work, it's going to be completely different than if you take it at home.
No, I mean, honestly, it's also been shown to not be as accurate because personality types are so much more, there's so much more to it, So you can't be just set into one personality type. There's just so much more to it. It's not it's not like boxes. It's more of just a scale.
According to the Myers-Briggs test, I'm supposed to be Ted Bundy, so.
Well, that's the interesting thing about this. I've taken this test multiple times. I don't really take it as accurate as people do. Like, people make it their whole personality, and that's not what I'm saying here. I've taken it multiple times, and I get the same personality every time. There's only one time I got something different. My consistent one is INFP. Now, upon doing some research into other people that have that, I share a personality type with Edmund Kemper, actually. So, in a weird way, the demeanor that I have to certain situations is the same demeanor that Kemper would have to situations.
Serial killer buddies.
Yeah, people would describe him as a friendly nuisance. And if everybody could describe me as something, all of you guys confirm, it's probably what you guys would describe me as.
Now you're
Right?
just a nuisance.
See? I got half of it. So, when you have someone who's very personable and knows how to interact with human beings very well, you can hide anything from them. Anything in the world. For example, most people, when you're talking... Why are you looking at me like that?
What you hiding?
Nothing, really. I've already told you everything. other than that time I watched an armless bitch use a stripper pole. I don't know. It was the first thing that came to mind. It's the first thing. I don't even like strip
Got
clubs.
real leg strength.
You should have seen it. She was climbing that pole with just the toes.
The coach got the suction that's gonna hold her to the pole.
It went.
Left little kiss marks.
What, a hairless cat?
No,
No.
we're talking about. You missed
An
that whole
armless
bit,
stripper.
dude.
Paying attention?
I was talking. Yeah, that's the whole fucking reason you're here.
Did I pay attention?
No, to pay attention. We were talking about an armless.
All there was kiss marks, so I immediately thought
We
of a
were
hairless
talking
cat.
about armless strippers climbing poles with toes, and then she said, "Go say what you said again, because you would do it more justice."
Her cooch is gonna have good suction, so it can hold her to the pole.
And it had kiss marks.
So the whole place is crawling with pussy.
I was talking to actually you and Josh the other day about this, Brittany. The OSHA at the strip club.
Don't they wear hard hats?
That's what I said. Yes, that was my joke. That was my whole joke. He's like, "Oh, that's too dangerous. You need to file for safety complaints."
Technically, they should be wearing UV glasses, hard hats, and ear pro.
Yeah, they should be.
They should also not be allowed to wear the heels that they do because OSHA
I mean, come on now.
regulations
How
limit-
sexy would it be to see a stripper doing some bad bitch shit wearing steel toes?
Dead ass, bro. Dead ass, bro. With some
Dead ass,
pins
my
on.
guy.
Dead ass,
Dead ass, my guy.
Send that bitch up there with a hard hat, a Nike Free Tech, and some Tims. Booty hanging out. That's what you do. That's how you do this.
That sounds heavenly. There's nothing else I can like. You just hear the Jurassic Park song. Yes. And boom, bing bong. Fuck your life.
and then on top of that, making
She
it
just
hail.
died.
Like what I want to do is go to a strip club with a bunch of quarters and just start trying to fucking
Don't
like.
do that. I did that.
You did that?
Yes.
Please elaborate.
So I went to Girls over in Vegas. Part of the reason why I actually got banned from Caesar's Palace for.
Hey, I got a question.
a
What do you
while.
think they have there?
Girls.
No, they got
They
girls.
have pineapples.
Ooh.
And I had chips in my pocket instead of money.
Hungry bitch.
'Cause I didn't cash them. So the bitch starts crawling to me wearing some neon colored bikini thong shit.
Was she wearing the Borat slingshot?
No. She takes it off. And I'm like, yeah! Fring!
Did you just shotgun her in the face with a bunch of chips? I'm picturing the
Not in
scene.
the face. I have more respect for that.
No, I'm picturing the scene in that Resident Evil movie with the executioner where she has a shotgun with coins because you're a strong dude. So you would have just fucking beamed her with them shits and killed her. Like, that's what I'm picturing.
It just hit the booty cheeks. And it was hilarious because one of them got stuck to the sweat. And she went, what the fuck?
Now, I want to use coins because I want to, instead of making it rain, I want to make it hail.
I wasted like $1,000.
And I know that's a stolen
Just here.
joke before anyone yells at me.
Yeah, they kicked me out. And I told the bouncers, like, I mean, she gonna be able to use the money anyway. Vegas, bitch. And he just went,
I'm
"You're
sorry.
serious, aren't you?"
Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. This is what I see. I'm sorry.
I thought
I'm
this was
sorry.
America.
I thought this was Las Vegas. I thought anything goes as long as it stays here. So I'm under the assumption that I can feed this bitch with my chips.
It
That's
might
what I
not be
see
salt and
happening.
vinegar, but damn it, they got some stank on it.
So you guys ready for murder?
Yes.
Here.
I left it alone in the van.
Cancer me. So the first two murders. I didn't know how to go about this necessarily because this is my first time writing a true crime script. This is my first time dabbling in anything like this ever in terms of speaking it out loud and writing about it. So out of respect to those who lost their lives to this monster, I'm actually not going to name the victims. I personally don't feel it's respectful to bring up the names of these women who were killed. I just feel it's very disrespectful to do so because to me, you're trying to benefit off of their murders. To me, I'm trying to been a fit off of his actions.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm worse or whatever.
That's
Yeah, I'm a
Just
terrible person. You
just
don't need to
even
remind
mention the
me.
Moitas.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person. You don't need to remind me.
Poor girls got Moita loaded. Bless them.
Yeah, and it's just very sad under the circumstances he kills all of these women. Like it genuinely breaks my heart. With one of them, I was literally repulsed writing about it the entire time.
Dirty Diana. It's like
And
when the Weeknd was writing Dirty Diana, he cried.
really,
Hmm?
did we can
Someone
write
should-
that song?
No, when he covered it.
Oh.
Yeah. He had to go through all the melodic editing and mastering and shit.
It's a great song.
Yeah. No, it's a similar thing. Even I won't crack a joke about them.
So on May 5th, 1972, 2 women from Fresno State College were hitchhiking to Stanford University. Unfortunately, these women would never make it to their destination, resulting in missing persons reports being filed.
That alone is just sad. That's a
Yeah.
prestigious college.
Wait for it, dude.
Why the poor baby's got a hitchhike? What the fuck?
Yeah, man. This case gets way sadder the further I go. You only heard up until slightly after this point. You've
That's
only
just
heard the next 2 sections
sad.
I'm reading.
Fuck, man, they got a future, you pig.
Yeah. You're gonna notice a trend throughout this, and one of them's gonna get under your skin severely because as much as it got under my skin, I know it's gonna get under yours the same way. Now this would prove to be borderline useless because of the nature of missing persons cases to begin with, especially at the time. There's no cell phones or tracking or street cameras that can ID you from a glimpse of your ass hair from 300 feet away, 33 feet up in the air.
You see that? He got a knot on the left butt cheek hairs. It's him.
Yeah.
That's Dave.
Ain't that bitch who could lick her stumps?
I mean, would she have? I don't know. That's very. It's a question that I know the obvious answer to.
What question?
If paralyzed people can grow hair on their paralyzed parts,
Yes, they can.
I know they can. But my mind, for whatever reason, cannot fathom that they can.
Just because it doesn't have feeling doesn't mean it doesn't have follicles.
I mean, let me put it this way, right? Dogs can't feel their teeth.
I'm going to continue reading. I don't want this anymore. So, to put things into perspective, just a year ago when this case is taking place in 1971, the traffic gun was invented for checking speed. So there was nothing to know. The sad reality of missing persons cases is that they are typically solved through tips in the community. And if no one sees you before you go missing, especially if you don't want to be seen when you're going missing, or are even taken in a manner to not be seen when you're going missing, there ain't much that can be done. And it's very sad to say that nature still applies to this very day with how many strides we've made in technology and things. So it's upsetting to see how things really don't change all that much over time.
You leave as a ghost, man. It's shitty.
Yeah. This isn't even mentioning that the Bay Area had a massive amount of runaways who were disappearing at the time willingly. The best case of a missing persons case is the person just returns home or is brought back home through police work, aka tips from the community. Now, unfortunately,
Sometimes you just need a mental health week.
Yeah.
Year.
Yeah. Unfortunately, these 2 young women would find themselves hitchhiking in with one Edmund Kemper. He would pick up these women and drive around for a bit as to not raise suspicion of it for his 2 unknowing captives. Little did they know that Kemper actually had a gun underneath the seat. He would actually pull the gun on the women and drive into a secluded area. He would then force one of the women into the trunk and cuff the one that was still outside. He would put her face down in the back seat of the car, and he would put a plastic bag over her head and attempted to strangle her with a rag that he had brought. A glimmer of hope would shine through, though, because she would open the bag enough to breathe, and the rag would also snap because that 250-pound fat fuck was pulling out at full force. This would cause Kemper to panic and pull out the knife and stab her repeatedly, penultimately slitting her throat. Kemper would then turn his attention to the woman in the back seat, turn his attention to the woman that he had held in the trunk, and she would fight back, but end up being stabbed repeatedly by an even larger knife that Kemper was keeping with him. This is the one where he did that boob thing we were talking about earlier.
I mean, he already did that's not a knife, this is a knife, so
He did.
at that point,
Okay.
this is...
Apparently, with that
This
other...
like sounds like out of a fucked up movie.
That's the whole thing about Kemper's case, is it straight up sounds like a movie.
Was this the one where he stabbed the girl, but her jeans were too thick?
I don't remember which one of these girls is, but yes, this is the same area.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cool.
Her overalls were too thick,
What?
so when he was stabbing her, he was actually slamming her into the roof of the car because he was that strong, but the knife was that dull and the denim was that strong that he was straight up like if I lifted you up one arm,
I
slam
said I
you
was
to the
gonna
top of
make
the
a
car.
joke, but damn, them Wranglers.
Yeah, so back in the day, dude, shit was made to last.
Probably Dickies, to
Yeah,
be honest.
jeans were knife proof apparently.
Yeah, fucking
Well, the
heck.
coverall pockets are made for welders, so.
Yeah,
So
and
it's-
farmers and shit like that. So it
yeah,
makes sense
it
dealing
makes
with
sense
heavy
that you
equipment.
can't stab through. I mean, that's got to be some, like 4-pound, 5-pound denim. So like,
Yeah,
that shit,
probably.
that shit's different. I think it's like per square foot, the poundage. So that's some heavy shit.
So I'm gonna go around the room and ask a question. What do you think he did with the body?
Clarity.
Well, Jordan
No.
told me what he did with the body.
Okay, so shut up. So Brittany, what do you think he did with the body?
He kept them.
Good choice. We'll get to
And
it.
away you go.
Close, but somehow it's more stupid.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, just wait.
Did he marry the bodies?
Anything
wait.
flies in Vegas.
Here in Cali, nothing flies in Cali.
You
Obviously
can't
not.
even have copper pennies in Cali without a warning.
Wait, really?
Why can't you have copper shit?
Profit.
Oh, fair.
65.
Yeah, Prop 65.
It would need to have its own label attached.
I have them at my job. Yeah, I know.
So
I
they,
know.
so they can't use pocket change in Cali, can they?
They do, but they're not supposed to because it can give you cancer.
Going to California gives you cancer.
California is cancer. That's why it's trying to detach from the country.
That's why they keep getting wildfires.
God's
All
trying
right.
to burn them off the face of the earth.
Johnny Cash said it right. You can run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gonna cut you down.
Now, most sane people wouldn't have a dead woman in their trunk to begin with. But if I was to have a dead woman in my trunk, I would just dump her in the woods or something like that.
Yes.
You know?
Especially
There
since
you
you're
go.
already in the woods.
Exactly, right?
He's got the paranoia of somebody who would be doing this in the 2000s.
It gets worse. It gets way worse.
He's
Like,
a serial killer ahead of his time. Like, he probably wouldn't have gotten caught if he just stopped caring as much.
oh, just wait till the end. Just wait till the end. I know I'll get judged, but I'm not a murderer and don't plan on it. So that's just to cover my previous statement.
For legal reasons, it's a joke.
For legal reasons, it's a joke.
Sounds like the better plan.
But Kemper would drive around with the two bodies in his trunk because he had no fucking idea what to do with the two bodies. He would then decide to bring one of the bodies inside of his house and go full fucking lumberjack and chop up the body. He would then dispose of both of the bodies this way, but he would dispose of the head, hands, feet, and torso in different locations. If I'm remembering correctly, I know he had two different dumping sites.
Dismemberment.
Yeah, sure. Now he would keep trophies from both of the bodies. You two already know what it is, but Brittany, would you like to guess what he kept from the bodies?
Is it the vagina?
No, that's someone else. No, you won't. You want to guess again?
I think that was Gene.
Yes, that was Dean.
honestly, I have no idea.
Well,
My brain goes right into the dark place, so it's like
What's
I
the
can't.
notes?
he kept the heads of the victims, not just as a reminder, but he would keep the heads for sexual pleasure. So you were absolutely right when you said he jumped from not having sex to necrophilia. That's why I said just give it a minute. So I said that.
I
Did
said
you
I wasn't
also
going
make
to
a
make a joke.
decapitation joke?
Oh yeah, way earlier on.
I
2-3 times
I
already.
said there was. I wouldn't make a joke about it, but my God.
Yeah, he
That's
did some
that's
fuck
a
shit.
thing that looked like a pussy.
It's a literal fleshlight. That one I feel bad for.
Just plug the esophagus up. There's a suction.
Oh god.
Mhm.
I didn't need that. I didn't need
I
that.
didn't need that image either.
Didn't need that. So a sidebar before more blood. This is going to be the last section we get into today because I am tired. Now, instead of jumping into his next murder, I just want to take a second to look at his escalation. I'm not a murderer, but I have an understanding of human behavior. Not a very solid one, but one anyway. And my weird ass wants to analyze his behavior in two different lights. His criminality and how people should act, because I have somewhat of a background in sociology. Looking from an outside in, this is a massive escalation in violence. Brittany, this is actually why I have you here, because I want you to add in a lot more in this section, to be honest, because this is straight up a psychological breakdown of him at this point. Looking at Kemper post-release, I see why people wouldn't have suspected him as a killer at the time. They were a brand new discovery. So how are you going to find something that you really don't even know what you're looking for?
I think 72 is the first time they used the term serial killer for the FBI database.
I'm unsure about when they first used it.
Either 64 or 72, one of them. That wasn't a word until a team of analysts made it a word. Like the term itself is less than 50 years old.
Yeah, because it was Wrestler, the guy who actually interviews Kemper in Mindhunter. He coined the term first.
It's literally no. Serial killer wasn't an official word in any investigation bureau until the 70s. Like
no, it was
1974.
Yeah, no, it was as this was going on. So this is before this happened. This was 72, 71, 72 that this was happening in.
Oh, look, I said 72 or 64.
But no, Wrestler was the person who coined the term, and Wrestler was the guy who interviewed him later on down the line to gain a better understanding of all serial killers. He's a very influential person in both true crime and FBI psychological analysis.
Like their division for investigations for shit like that was...
That guy used it first in 1974, but the term was not used publicly or made aware to the public until 1981.
Okay.
Either way, I think the FBI is one who actually pushed it out there because they didn't have...
Wrestler was an FBI agent.
They didn't have a word for it up until that point. They didn't understand MO. They only understood AO. They never bothered to make paths of information and for an investigation. They just didn't. They didn't try to make patterns. They just saw this guy killed here, this guy killed here. So the term wasn't a thought.
There's actually another case that I'm going to do later on that's actually going to feed perfectly into your thing because the case happened in the 50s. And it was actually the first actual documented serial killers in America. And I'm not going to get into it right now.
The guy who threatened the guy who was interviewing him?
No, this guy was never caught. Well, once again, I'm not going to get into it right now. He went from being an institution for a double homicide to getting it expunged, goes to school, gets a job at a reputable place, gets into a car accident, commits a double homicide for his violent tendencies. Now, you guys are probably wondering, and after this sentence, I want you to chip in, because this is perfect for you too. And you guys are probably wondering, but he already have a double homicide under his belt. How is this different? Well, his first two murders were a spur-of-the-moment thing. And can you at least agree with that the escalation in violence was astronomical between the first set of homicides and the second set of homicides?
Yeah, I would.
Because the way I see it is the first two were him actually releasing his anger, and the second set was actually him releasing all his sexual frustration with the time he spent in prison. The major difference is he premeditated his second murder. Yes. That's something we get into here. He actually I have quotes from him about this. He actually ran it. He ran it as a drill hundreds of times. He was just picking up hitchhikers and dropping them off and picking up hitchhikers and dropping them off to gain a flow of how to do everything. So you're absolutely correct. It's just the way that the increase in violence was just, to me, was just so baffling. Like, this is a case that I'm very, very familiar with. I've spent years listening to Edmund Kemper stuff because it's just so fascinating to me to see how the world made a perfect serial killer. Instead of someone birthed out of circumstance, he was made for this. As weird as it's going to sound. Because 6'9", 300-something pounds, there's nothing you can really do to stop this man if you really want to be honest.
And he has the psychological makeup of someone who would go through, psychopathy is not really a psychological term, but he does fit it because most psychopaths, you don't know they're a psychopath most of the time. They're so manipulative, and he has the perfect psychological makeup: abuse, harmed animals.
The only one he doesn't have is bedwetting. That's the only one he doesn't have, and arson.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah, so it's just like he was actually made. He was molded in this world to be like the not perfect psychopath, but like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, perfect on paper. Has the perfect makeup of it.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're here because you're saying exactly what was in my fucking mind about this case.
I'm blowing your mind, man. And I'm not even on drugs. Not one bit. Stone sober. This is blew my mind. That just blew my mind.
Okay.
Color inversion, right?
You actually perfectly said what I had for the next part in the script, like beat for beat almost what I have for the next part in the script. So you're spot fucking on.
The colors.
Now Kemper would actually, dude, I'm in the middle of something. I'm reading. He would then say that he was picking up young women. And I'm gonna quote him. So read what it fucking says, you moron. Kemper would say, "I'm picking up young women, and I'm going a little bit further each time. It's a kind of daring thing. First, there wasn't a gun. I'm driving along. We go to a vulnerable place where I could act it out. I say no, I can't. And then a gun is in the car, hidden. And this craving, this awful raging eating inside. This fantastic passion. It was overwhelming. It was like drugs. It was like alcohol. A little isn't enough." Kemper would develop a comfort picking up these women, and these women he'd find attractive while at home. His mother would belittle him and tell him that he would never be able to date any of these exact women he was picking up from the school. To me, this was incentivizing him on a deeper level to feed into these exact urges. Is there anything you want to add on to what I said about that?
No, I completely agree. It honestly all stems from his mom.
Yeah.
You know, and especially when as a kid, your mind is more at a very malleable state. So everything his mom did kind of repeated and echoed in his head as he grew up, and it was definitely going to make an impact on him growing up.
Yeah, it's just I feel I can't stress it enough that the universe made a perfect serial killer, because there's no other way to look at it. Like we said, other than missing the arson and bedwetting of the trifecta, you need it. For those of you guys who don't know, there's a quote-unquote trifecta for serial killers. There's a couple of things. There's usually severe head trauma. There's usually abuse from a parent, verbal or physical. There's usually bedwetting. There's usually animal cruelty and arson, and then petty crimes before they start doing their homicides. Even Ted Bundy had all of these things. Apparently, when he was a child, he had a severe head injury that fucked him up, and then he was caught trying to set traps to kill other kids. I don't know how true that is, but it's something that was reported in several places. Now, another thing that is very interesting is the fact that he had specifically captured 7 of his victims that were all hitchhikers, except for 2 down the line. And there was a reason he would go on to say it was stupid for anyone to hitchhike, but to these people who thought it was fun and exciting and maybe a bit daring, it's as if they're already dead. And to me, it comes off as Kemper knew that these women were easy targets. He knew that he could take these women that were willingly getting into his personal kill box. And he had predetermined who was going to be his target when his dark urges came back. He knew that these women would get into the car because of the radios, antennas, and the fact that it was designed to look like a cop car. Now, let's add on the fact that he had a junior badge. It was never reported that he used any of this stuff. But if you flash it to someone in the dark, they're not really going to be looking at it all too well. So they're not going to be able to ID if it's a real badge or not. They're just going to see a badge. They're going to see the antennas. They're going to see the radios. And they're going to think you're a cop.
I can actually attest to that. It's a quick story, but it actually does prove a point. As a kid, my mom, she works as a public bus driver. So they used to have like actual metal badges on them to prove it. And I'm not going to go deep into it, but we were on the highway and there was this asshole driver coming through, cutting us off. And she actually acted like a cop, sped up behind them and started shoving it into like outside his car saying it. So people do not look at badges. People, they thought she was a cop just by the badge. So they started freaking the fuck out. So I can say it's accurate.
That's pretty badass, though. I'm not even going to lie. That's really fucking cool.
I love my mom.
So another thing I want to add on real quick. I feel he was right to a degree. I think you're a fucking moron if you're getting into random people's cars. You have no idea what these people are doing. I don't agree with him saying that they were dead the second they got into the car, but I do agree with the idea that hitchhiking was fucking stupid. And people had too much faith in their neighbors at this period in time. People just trusted each other way more back in the day. We weren't even allowed to really leave our houses.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was a different story. I was out roaming the streets like a little hoodlum.
It's kind of like he stopped seeing them as people. Like as people that hitchhike, he stopped seeing them as people.
Funny enough that you mentioned that, because later on when he's actually talking about another victim, about his victims, he actually says, like, the way he describes things, he's like, oh, I stabbed them and put them out their misery. Like, he talks about it like he's helping them. Like, I don't have enough quotes for that, but he talks about it in a manner as if he's doing them a favor for trying to kill them the way he is, which comes off as more disgusting than, like, a Dahmer who was doing it unintentionally, because Dahmer kind of knew what he was doing. There's no way that you chop up bodies and keep them in a freezer and you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
What comes to mind is that it could be sort of like him playing God in a way. It's like, you must have horrible luck to be stuck in a room with me when I have these urges. So it's kind of like, since you have such horrible luck, let me kill you just to stop that, because it's not your fault, but at the same time it is, because you were just put into this circumstance in a way.
The weird thing about that is when he was actually determining who his victims were, he would actually determine it based on a list of criteria. Like, in his mind, he had a checklist that he needed to set off. If they mentioned the murders, he wouldn't kill them. If he hadn't gotten into an argument with his mother, which was the number one fuse for all of this stuff, he wouldn't go and kill. It was after blowouts with his mom, he would go out and murder these women. So every time that you're saying that the vestige of his mother is what he's seeing when he kills these women, 1,000% accurate. There's no way I can deny it. I just didn't want to agree to it so fast off the cuff with all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, why would you get into the car with this massive motherfucker? Then again, a lot of people did get into the car with Kemper. And that is going to be it for section 1. What do you guys think overall of Edmund Kemper? We are at the very end. There was no more script reading. I'm tired.
I hate to admit it, but he's pretty fucking smart with this stuff. Yeah. He's very smart. But that's to be expected. That's to be expected of someone with his mental illness. You know, he's very manipulative. If he sees the opportunity, he's obviously going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just how lucky he was to be in these situations where he learned and adapt so early in life in order to master his craft.
Yeah. Yep. And you see it early on. You see it with the way, even with him hiding the bodies in the trunk, you see it early on with the cat that he dismembered. Like, we were cracking jokes about him, like, kind of playing hide and go seek with a dead cat, but it's 100% accurate as to what he was doing. You see everything that he was trying to do. And that cat thing, I want you guys to keep it in mind for when we get to the second half of this script. A lot of the stuff he did with those cats are stuff that he does later on. Like, including the burying. He didn't bury anyone alive, but I'm going to spoil a little bit. He buries a head in his backyard and has it facing the house. So it's like, he had all of these dark intentions when he was younger. That's why I said what I said earlier about his mom noticing it in him. There was a reason to me saying that. I wasn't trying to, like, absolve the mother of sin. She's a big part of this. She, in my opinion, is the reason why he is the way he is. Like,
that I'll agree 100%.
Yeah.
She's definitely she's not the catalyst, but she is the agitator.
Yes, 100%.
The catalyst for me seems to me that his catalyst was being around so many mentally ill people and then being able to study them.
She may not have lit the fire, but she definitely threw gas at it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
No, I wouldn't say she threw gas at it. She sparked that bitch.
Yeah, she did.
The gas was the mental hospital and being able to study. Because then he's already a fucking genius, like a literal genius.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being able to study evil men with his broken psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think one of the major influences of his upbringing would be the lack of empathy towards him. Because there have been cases, which I have heard from like my professors, where people who have been diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder or conduct disorder is because of the lack of empathy they are showing themselves. So in return, they think, why should I show empathy back if I've never got it? So with his mom, his father, basically kicking out, sending it to his grandmother, and then she being the same way, that's just an enforcer of it. So I think that itself, mom is the starting point. She's the starting point. Mama. But the continuous, mistreatment and everything.
I'm sorry, I had to.
I killed him, now he's dead. Honestly, I feel like I feel like he would have killed way more if he had more contact with his mother in a positive way. I feel like he would have Norman Bated that
I
shit.
promise all of you guys, you're not going to see the ending to this story coming. You're not. You're just not. To me, with Edmund Kemper's psyche, it always, to me, I always find the institution the most interesting period of time for him because, like you said,
it's like serial killer puberty.
Yeah, like exactly, because he was going through puberty at the same time as well.
Oh, shit,
so to me,
but
yeah.
then he was also given the files to study too. That's the crazy part. That's what gets me is like, how are you going to give this guy who not only killed his grandparents, but who you thought you had schizophrenia, and you're going to give him these files about all these patients that he's with.
Like another insane thing about the whole prison stints with him is this is something that's not in the script. Is when he was actually sent to prison after he got caught for his murders, he actually would go on to win service awards within the prisons that he was in. No matter where he was always winning awards and being at the top of the board for being the best person at the place. He's recorded over 500 hours of audiobooks, one reading of a certain book, Star Wars. He read the fucking novelization of Star Wars back in the day. Yeah.
Oh my God.
On top of that, the insurance company of the prison that he was at has Kemper Care. Swear to fucking God. You can look it up. It's a real insurance agency till this day.
Kemper Care. I feel like I'd get murdered immediately.
Yeah,
Kemper Care. We'll make a killing out of you.
That's the insurance company you go to when you're an organ donor and you want to die.
Not only will
that's the insurance policy. That's the insurance company you go to if you want to kill as many people as you want.
Give me a second.
And
welcome to Kemper Care. Well, we'll not only slash your rates, we'll decapitate them. Come on, I thought that was good.
Well, our rates are so low, you think we've lost our heads.
Okay, that's better. It's better.
It's a little bit of Hanbon for you.
So, you got anything else to add on about Kemper?
No, I was saying it could be the lack. No, I don't know for sure because I have no information. I have very little information.
Definitely
very little information on this case and this killer. But it could be not only the lack. What's the word? Basically, I don't think I'm gonna assume his mom wasn't in the picture when he was in prison. So there's that, and then I think he was in an all-males prison. He focused mostly on males because it seems like women are a trigger for him. So I think that's why he has like, oh yeah, I'm a great guy. I got insurance named after me.
It's validation.
Yeah, 100%. All the awards. That's all the awards were for him. Was validation to show that he was a good person.
What's odd to me is that he kills a lot of women who are not in positions of power.
Well, obviously.
Whereas the only powerful woman he's killed is his grandmother. But he'll pick a vulnerable
and mother down the line because I spoiled that for you guys on purpose.
But like he'll kill, some random innocuous female that you saw on the street, but really no women of power, no older women, no matriarchs.
Nope.
None.
Nope. Not at all.
Someone will miss them.
It's all cinematic foreplay.
Well, that's not true because with the other women, they had missing persons filed the day after they went missing.
And
so that means that people cared about it. Well, something that everybody here is also neglecting to mention, he was friends with the fucking cops.
Yeah.
He was drinking with the cops at all times.
Can keep tabs on all the cases.
That's what he was doing.
He held that shit.
The thing is,
who do you think killed him, Inspector Mushihara?
He wasn't even doing that. He wasn't asking about the serial killings. He did not talk about it to the police officers. He let them come to him and talk about it. He knew what he was doing.
Hey Teddy, another round for the boy in blue. How you doing, man? This guy, he's just killing all these bitches.
Pretty much.
Tell me about it. I will.
So, that's Edmund Kemper for now. I don't know when I'm getting the next part of the script out to you guys, but it is finished.
I can confirm. I've seen it.
It's very
in
long.
fact exists.
I'm still very bugged out the fact that the colors on the Switch are not invertible.
Okay. I don't know what you want me to do with that.
I don't know either. If I turn into a serial killer, that's the reason why.
So if we ever have an episode about Marco, it's because
No,
the switch
look,
colors can't be
ready,
inverted.
invert. Come on, fucker.
That hurts. I don't like it. It's the same color. That makes me so.
Wait.
Why is the table the same color?
Wait. You want the blue? Yeah, apparently certain fucking colors cannot be inverted. What about yellow?
Alrighty, guys. I want to say thank you very much for if you watched this live, and I also say thank you very much for if you stuck through this after the fact. Hopefully, the other channel that these videos are going to be on will be ready to stream to, but for now, they're going to be going here to my original channel. Welcome to never being monetized, Alexis.
Yellow too, by the way.
Alrighty.
I think neon colors just can't be inverted.
stream.
Oh, you know what it is? Neon colors always reflect blue light anyway, and they always absorb more light and kind of